this motion, which says, quote, conscious of his courageous defense of the democratic electoral process during the 1993 presidential election that led to the famous June 12 slogan, which ultimately confirmed MKO Abiola as the winner of the election. This is manipulating and wrestling with the truth. June 12 became famous because Nigerians who voted and the elections results already announced, people were at liberty to do their calculation. But because the chief electoral officer failed to formally announce the figures and declare the winner, the Nigerian people on their own talk about, if you look at the media review, the man who is widely believed to have won the election, because the man who should have announced it failed to do so. The second paragraph, or the fourth paragraph, informed that he stood his ground during Nigeria electoral wishes and aspirations were realized, which culminated in June 12 being marked as a 30th Democratic Day due to his unwavering stand as an umpire. Sir, again, this is not correct. President Muhammadu Buhari, to his credit, decided, and may God bless him for that, said what Nigerians already knew, but coming from a city head of state and president that gave it the currency, he said everybody knew that MKO Abiola won June election that was conducted on June 12th. Nigerians were really in pain because nobody is able to quote where Professor Nwosu announced the results. It is his failure to announce the result, whether other threat or other whatever forces that prevented him from so doing, that Nigerians were unable to say that he was declared the winner. In fact, I was active in that struggle. When we met with the late General Sani Abacha, he said the reason he decided to order the detention of MKO Abiola was that MKO Abiola proclaimed himself as the winner of the election and therefore as president. It was on that basis Abiola was arrested and he died in detention. If Professor Nwosu had the courage, I emphasize courage as is being suggested here, to announce the winner and damn the consequences. After all, he who is not ready to die for something will end up dying for nothing. We cannot distort history in this Senate. We must be seen to have sentiments that reflect the average feeling of the average Nigerian. Professor Nwosu, when it mattered most, his courage failed him. And when you give national honors and recognition, you do so for people who have shown courage, who have paid the supreme price, or who were ready to pay that price. Lastly, cognizance of the fact that Professor Nwosu laid a landmark foundation, blah, 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 blah. This is the reason it is even more painful that you allegedly have all this courage to conduct elections. I'm on record as saying that Professor Nwosu and President Babangida fooled 18 million Nigerians that voted. Nwosu is not on record before his death as admitting that before I die, let me confess that there was a winner.
You have 1 second. You have 2 seconds remaining.
Therefore, let me round up, Mr. President. I thank you for your this because this is very important. If you couldn't, this is my last point, sir. I appreciate. This is my last point. So I want my in-laws to understand. If he was afraid of the gun, because we are under dictatorship, some people might say, well, but there were Nigerians who were protesting under the gun without minding the consequences. After the end of Babangida's tenure, the death of Abiola, the birth of the new democracy that produced President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Obasanjo. Since then, I would have expected Nwosu to say either on his birthday or on any special occasion. Now that we are back to democracy, there is freedom of speech, even the freedom to lie. I would have expected Nwosu to be able to say, I could not declare these numbers.
Thank you.
Now on my record, Abiola won this election.
Thank you. Senator Osita, you have the floor.
He died without confession.
Thank you.
He died without confession. Cannot be rewarded.
Thank you, Senator Osita.
He cannot be rewarded.
Senator Osita Ngu, you have the floor.
SP. Thank you, Mr. President.
You all speak. No, everybody will speak, and then we put the question.
That's why he's speaking like that. Mr. President, very distinguished colleague, this is one issue I have tried as much as possible to avoid. Yesterday, when my brother, Senator Abaribe, brought this matter up, I took up and said, no, I will not allow this to happen. Because he's about to remind me a very sad memory. And I'm speaking not along party line or ethnic or whatsoever, as I've watched and listened to the contribution thus far. Mr. President, very distinguished colleague, as a result of the action and inaction of Professor Humphrey Nwosu, I lost my immediate junior brother. He died right behind me for him refusing to do or carry out his duty as INEC chairman. Mr. President, many of my colleagues have stood up here and said he conducted the free and fairest election. There are three different meanings and three different interpretations that we should look at: conducting election, releasing results, and announcing results. Yes, he conducted the election. Yes, school of thought said he releases all the results. But you and I know releasing results is not the same thing as announcing results. He failed at the critical moment when he's supposed to salvage this democracy. Today we celebrate Abiola or those people who have contributed to the success story of June 12 because they lived their life, they put their life on the line. If he is coward to withdraw in doing what is right at the critical moment, I think my brothers here should be fair enough. We are not saying you should not bring this matter up. And as my colleague has said, everybody that we have put before us that should be honored, we have celebrated them here. And don't forget, this is the highest law-making body of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, where we should see ourselves as one and one Nigeria. Professor Humphrey Nwosu, with due respect to him, because it's now late, does not deserve to be immortalized as one of the very few Nigerians that have done the right thing. And I want to plead with my colleague. As I've said, I'm not speaking along the ethnicity line, along the party line, but I'm speaking as Nigeria. We witness the horrific moment.
Thank you.
Of Professor Humphrey Nwosu to carry out his assignment at the most critical hour.
Now let's go to prayers. Prayer 1. All the federal government to immortalize him by naming the INEC headquarters in Abuja after him. Those in favor of this prayer say aye. Those against say no. No. The nays have it. Further urges the federal government to posthumously honor him with national honors. Those in favor say aye. Those against say no. No. The nays have it. Extend condolences to his family and recognize their sacrifice in support of his work towards a better Nigeria. Those in favor of this prayer, say aye. Those against say no. No. The ayes have it. So, hello, sorry. Order! Please, can somebody? Order! Can somebody move a motion so that we can have the silence in his honor and pray for you?
But this man Yorubalized the Asurok. You can see what the son said. That is that even God come down from heaven. Tinubu will overthrow God and win the election. It's in the news there. Go and check it.
You mean the son says so?
Sheyi Tinubu. What are you telling me? They say that even God cannot stop him. But you know what I'm saying? You see, they have got to the level that they have become. I don't want to use the word beast because whatever happened, when they said Titanic was one of the, I think the first, would I say yachts, or the biggest, most expensive ship in the world. And after building it, they came out and said, even God cannot be able to destroy Titanic. But now, snow, what is it called now? Block, ice. It should be ready. And I pray that he is not being quoted out of context.
I want to believe that he's not quoted out of context because nobody has ever challenged God.
No, you see, the level these people get to, they become stupid about their position. But look at what is happening in the Senate, and look at the whole Senate president, an institution. For that matter, look at the mess up. Even if you are not being told, everybody, whatever you are in a democracy you are enjoying today, the Igbos contributed. You cannot say that the Humphrey Nwosu contribution is insignificant. After all, what did he do? Then that means Abiola never contested the election, and Abiola never won that election, and Abiola should not be recognized in any form. That's what the message they are trying to. You can see how they manipulate anything that has to do with Igbo, and I thank God that they are getting the consciousness now. Look at Bola Ahmed Tinubu ordering the arrest of Ojo Carlo, and of course the commencement of his trial with the FCC. You can see that serve the zoo and come back crying. Mazin Nnamdi Kanu has said this several times, and but I think all these things are working towards the liberation, or the dismantling, because the day it will come to those men consciousness that this is absolutely rubbish, they cannot this cannot stand, then they will know that God has already prepared a place for them. God has opened another a channel that they can be proud of, where he said, by the riverside Babylon, where we sat down, there we wept when we remember Zion. They are weeping in Nigeria because they are remembering how is it going to go. They wonder. But in 1948, God became God, and immediately the state of Israel became a physical thing. That is just it. The resources that has kept this Nigeria for wonder, where is it coming from? But you can see how poor the people of the eastern part of the country are, if not for selfless, a struggle of survival. Imagine what would have become the entire. I'm not talking about the people they are using, against the Igbos. How come that suddenly only the eastern part of the country you have thousands of fragmentations of national this thing? These are the evil. But God will judge the British government one day. God will judge.
You drag British government to.
Yes, I'm telling you. God will call them to answer for the death of over 6-7 million Biafrans that was murdered as a result of British conspiracy with the Fulanis and the Northerners and the Arab Yorubas. We know this. Nobody will come and tell you that this is make you bend. Some of the things we are saying here, they know about it. They know. I only say that they pretend. But thank God for that dirty slap, coming from IBB, and that revelation about the coup.
Do you call it a slap?
Of 1966. Yes, now I call it a dirty slap. You understand? See, there's a kind of slap that will come in different form. Then we begin to it will reshape. It will give you a proper,
orientation.
You begin to have a rethink. When you say, I not be thief, I not be thief, bah, okay, yes, okay. You begin to do like this, then you know that that one has entered. That was a big blow coming from IBB, and that is the situation on ground.
Now, conclusively, in the light of this, we have seen an Ina Baribe who stood his ground. Are you convinced that Ina Baribe is a true Biafran? Because before now, they will see someone like Ina Baribe, of course, any person in the political class, as of not being with Nigeria and not part of Biafra struggle.
I look at the class of intellectuals having coming from the old Eastern extraction. You know, I look at different people. I studied them. I look at their profiles. You know, even though who is more of the East, you know, in quote, who is more of the Biafra, both in South and South, you know, who is more of a Biafran? When I look at the set of all these things, you know, and the caliber of people, professionals, this region has produced, I will tell you the honest truth. I give it to Chinua Achebe.
No, I was trying to.
I am coming to that. I am coming to that. I give it to Chinua Achebe. Then the second person is, of course, I give it to Odumegwu Ojukwu. The third person, I give it to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Every other thing will be considered or based on secular understanding, and that is the secular understanding I want to give you, is that, you know, Engineer Abaribe is not in Nigeria because he does not work in the dark. Those who work in the dark are Nigerians.
Okay, you are satisfied with the role he played.
What the role is bringing Nigeria out of darkness to the light. It's a role. He's trying to bring Nigeria. Nigeria. Of course, yes. No, apart from that, he has always tried as much as possible, you know, to bring the entire northern part of the country, the entire southern part of the country, from darkness to the light. But they choose to remain in the light. Okay, how come the Igbos have not been able to enjoy the presidency, but still they produce 6th, 4th ranking according to the world record breaking? You know, 4th most richest tribe in the world, 6th most traveled all over the world. And check it, the history is there. Is it by presidency? Is it by becoming Nigerian president? We're talking about over.
But how did I achieve that feat as the 4th most richest in the world?
Bros, let me tell you, when you go to Guinness Book of Records, you cannot see any. Bro, leave Dangote and the $10 and what they call them. Those guys.
Maybe she was a model for